Sam Flying Kite, and welcome to the Horror Show. This week, I'm reviewing Horror Express. It came out in 1972. It's about an hour and a half long. It's a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and somehow it's rated R. I guess. I mean, it came out in 72, so, it kind of makes sense, but, I don't know, this still seems a bit silly to me. Anyways, the reason why I'm in a different place right now is because this is going to be my new home in a few weeks, because in April I'll be getting married, and this is the place I'm going to be living in. So moving all of my stuff over here, I'm kind of done. There's a few things left, but yeah, just counting down the days now. So just a few more reviews at, my main house. And then, where I'm living right now. And then I'll be here for the next few years, and it's kind of crazy to think about because, a year ago, if you told me a year ago I was going to be getting married soon, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But, I guess things change when you meet the right person, right? But back to the review. That's just explaining why, right? 1906. I gotta get my voice. In the icy caves of northern China, Professor Alexander Saxton makes a remarkable discovery that could change the history of mankind. He boards the Trans-Siberian Express with his chief rival, Dr. Wells, and his new discovery, a frozen creature believed to be the missing link in the evolutionary chain. Locked safely in a large wooden crate. Desperate for a look at the new discovery, Dr. Wells pays a clerk to drill a peephole in the locked crate. After the clerk disappears, everyone gets a look inside the crate containing the frozen creature, but all they find is the dead clerk. The hunt for the deadly monster now begins as more and more dead bodies begin to pile up. Saxton and Wells race to find the creature's weakness before it's too late. But how do you kill something that's been living for centuries? Given that this movie came out in 1972, honestly, this is a better... It's not an adaptation of Who Goes There, but if you were to go and be like, what's a better, adaptation / love letter to Who Goes There, which is a short story that came out in, the 30s, and ended up being the thing that, The Thing is based off of. John Carpenter's The Thing. Horror Express or The Thing from Another World. Honestly, you could probably make the case Horror Express is a better, adaptation or whatnot, but it's not. It's its own thing. And then that, you have Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it. Whenever those two are in a movie together, you already know the movie's gonna be, top 5 classic kind of thing. This movie is really nice. I really like this movie, and I remember this was a movie I watched, a very long time ago with Dad, or I think, anyway. And it was on a VHS tape that he had. I don't know, I think he still has it. But it's, this is a really nice movie. And I guess, if you didn't want to, watch this movie and you're watching it and you're, getting bored, that's not really shocking, I guess, but I just think that this is one of those movies that people should just watch. Sorry. Just because. So if that means I get a gun and kidnap you, and now you're watching it, You'll thank me. But I really like this movie, and I think this is really good. I like it so much, I have 2 copies of it. An Arrow release and a DVD release. So, I mean, it's to have to tell you something, right? Gotta tell you, this movie's pretty good. And I really like the music in it, even though it's basically like 2 or 3 songs. It's just really good songs, honestly. And I really like how the movie kind of goes about. Although it's kind of interesting, as a Christian watching the movie, because of certain like aspects of the movie that are like, okay. Which I would talk more about in the longer version, which I'm debating whether I should film it here or film it at my house. But I gotta make sure I do it tonight because today's Thursday and tomorrow is the due date. But yes, this movie's really good, and it really deserves a shot if you've never seen it before. It is on Tubi, but the quality kind of sucks, but given it's a movie that came out in 1972, so I mean, oops, I guess. But let's go over the 1s, the 5s, and the 10s. 1s, absolutely wretched, and not in a good way. The true horror was how bad it was, or how bad it is, and it's just those 2. So 2 1s, 14 5s, handsomely fascinating, Horror Express. Many flaws, but still a classic. Lee and Cushing, Horror Old Firm Strikes Again. Monster. We're British. Spammer like Spanish Hammer. Yeah. Because Hammer Productions, which was basically like Universal, but I think they only did monster movies, although I might be mistaken about that. They did like The Mummy, Dracula, but like British. So Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, they're like in all of those movies. They're in the Dracula movies, the Frankenstein movies, The Mummy, that kind of stuff. Which, honestly, like, I love those movies too. So it's just funny how, like, it's just, whenever Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing share the screen, it's going to be a classic. It might be a 5 out of 10, but, like, as the one guy said, Lee and Cushing, Horror Old Firm Strikes Again, Monster, We're British, or many flaws, but still a classic. But let's check out the 10s. See if there's any 10s. There's 21 10 out of 10s. Great yarn. Body hopping. No, I'm not saying that one. A fantastic 70s horror movie. A great horror movie. A simply terrific period sci-fi horror treat. Great teaming of Cushing and Lee in horrific chiller. Wonderful, inventive 70s horror flick. The best of its kind. Ooh. 70s cult classic. Don't miss this movie. Creepy for a 1970s movie. And there's like more. My point ultimately is this movie is so good, you should watch it. And if you don't watch it, I might cry. I'll be so sad. But I mean, yeah, it's just like there's a lot of things I really like about this movie storyline wise that I'd probably get more into in the other review, in the the deep dive. But just to wrap this all up, this is a horror movie that I highly recommend, especially for people who don't really watch horror movies that much. Maybe you have a friend or whatever that's like, about horror movies, and so this is kind of one that, like, maybe it's not the first one, like the first horror movie you would show your friend is like the new Five Nights at Freddy's movies, or like almost anything new. But this movie is kind of like, after like 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 horror movies, then you kind of show them this movie. But even then, it's just a classic. It's a movie that I might only watch once a year, But if I were to find myself watching it 2 or 3 times a year, like, oh wow, shocking. Because this movie is really good and I really like it. And like honestly, it is like so close to being like a top 5 movie for me. But it's definitely my top. Ooh, see, I gotta do a top 5 at some point. Or like top 5 lists in general, because that's more content. And then my opinion, which you totally want to know. But anyways, I'm Sam Flying Kite. This is the horror show. I reviewed Horror Express today, and yeah, I think it's worth it, and it's definitely worth it. And if you don't like it, then sucks to be you, I guess. But anyways, I will see y'all either next week or the week after. I'm not too sure yet, but yeah, y'all have a good one. Goodbye.